Similar creators, similar gameplay, different games. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 spiritual successor video games. For this list, we're looking at video games that aren't direct continuations of their predecessors. To be considered a spiritual successor, the games need to have some form of development connection, such as previous team members, development teams, or publishers working on both projects.
I still don't get why the hell you dragged me out here for these things.
Also, while there have indeed been a large wave of Kickstarter campaigns for spiritual successors, we're only looking at games that have been officially released. Number 10, Command & Conquer, successor to Dune 2. Westwood Studios' major breakthrough occurred in 1992 with their real-time strategy adaptation of Frank Herbert's massive sci-fi universe. The game laid the foundations for the RTS genre in the coming years, introducing elements like a world map and base and unit construction.
Report, acknowledged. Report, yes, moving out.
3 years later, Westwood upped the ante with what many consider to be the perfection of the RTS genre.
Construction complete.
Command & Conquer refined the groundwork laid by its predecessor, while creating its own unique world and mythology centering on the resource Tiberium, and the terrorist leader Cain.
Oh, and congratulations on your promotion.
Number 9, Dragon Age Origins, successor to Baldur's Gate series. Long before BioWare immersed themselves in science fiction, they released a fantasy RPG set in the world of Dungeons & Dragons. Baldur's Gate was immediately acclaimed for its deep gameplay, and the fact that it basically rescued RPGs on the PC.
I understand now!
11 years later, BioWare returned to fantasy with their own unique creation, something they could experiment with freely.
Our love and our family is more than you hoped for.
The developers' prior knowledge of high fantasy universes and their unrivaled talents in game design ensured that Dragon Age would be the modern equivalent of the game that put them on the map.
You don't say.
That is really good, boss. Remember.
Number 8, Paper Mario, successor to Super Mario RPG. Nintendo's mascot is famous for his genre hopping, and one of his most beloved non-platforming outings is the Super Nintendo Classic, developed by Squaresoft. But after Square parted ways with Nintendo, they gave their signature franchise to Intelligent Systems to keep Mario's role-playing legacy alive. Beyond its distinctive papercraft visual style, the N64 RPG expanded on its predecessor's defining elements: RPG gameplay with button-timed attacks, and its signature humor. Number 7, Crysis, successor to Far Cry. The visual wizards at Crytek hit the gaming scene in 2004 with a gorgeous first-person shooter where players battled mercenaries and mutants in a dense tropical setting. While Crytek had no involvement with the eventual sequels by Ubisoft, they followed it up in 2007 with another FPS, which many claimed to be the best-looking game of all time, at least up until that point.
How can you be sure?
I'm not, but it's all we've got to go on.
Besides high graphical fidelity, both games came to be defined by their lush jungle settings, something that the later Far Cry games could not capture as perfectly. Number 6, Bayonetta, successor to Devil May Cry. Director Hideki Kamiya blew everyone's minds when he and Capcom released the legendary hack-and-slash game about the demon hunter Dante. After Capcom went behind him and his team's back to create a Devil May Cry sequel, Kamiya didn't return to the realm of 3D hack-and-slash until 2009, with the help of a sexy witch. Kamiya's creations share similar combat systems and gameplay, and he even managed to exceed the ridiculousness of his first outing with the complete insanity that occurs in Bayonetta.
Do you naughty little angels deserve a good spanking?
Not to mention, Dante and Bayonetta's personalities are so similar you'd swear they were separated at birth.
Now, this is cheeky. Throwing me these cheap toys.
Number 5, Dark Souls, successor to Demon Souls. Atlus's punishingly difficult 2009 action RPG was such an unexpected success that the publisher actually had to reprint the game months after its release. But rather than follow it up by continuing the original story, Atlus and developer From Software supplied a change in setting and mythology for the follow-up, a move which allowed their new franchise to go multi-platform, since Sony had a lock on Demon's Souls. Both games feature very similar concepts in gameplay, and most importantly, are both brutally tough. Interestingly, From Software went back to the console-exclusive route for their follow-up game, Bloodborne. Number 4. Assassin's Creed, successor to the Prince of Persia series. When Ubisoft rebooted the dormant Prince of Persia franchise in 2003 with The Sands of Time, its design and action-adventure gameplay led to people calling it one of the greatest games of its generation. After its success, Ubisoft Montreal went to work on developing a spin-off based on an assassin. The spin-off eventually became its own game, sharing several gameplay mechanics with its conceptual cousin, but moving its story into the conflict between the assassins and the Knights Templar.
Make humble your heart, child, or I swear I'll tear it from you with my own hands.
Number 3. Fallout, successor to Wasteland. War. War never changes, and neither do post-apocalyptic RPGs apparently. Interplay put out an RPG set in post-nuclear war United States in 1988, and it became an instant classic in the genre. But in 1997, their inability to obtain the rights from EA prompted the development of a game with a similar concept, but it is considered to be superior in every way. Fallout retained the style of its precursor, but also improved on it in regards to gameplay, proving that rights issues don't have to keep a strong idea down.
And frankly, I think you're the only hope we have.
Number 2. Perfect Dark, successor to GoldenEye 007. It was a console FPS based on a movie that had come out 2 years before, so it shouldn't have worked. Rare managed a miracle with GoldenEye, delivering both a legendary shooter and multiplayer experience. Despite Nintendo losing the James Bond license to EA, Rare followed GoldenEye with another beloved FPS 3 years later.
There has to be someone further inside. Cover me.
Using a modified version of the GoldenEye engine, the story of Joanna Dark became a must-own for N64 gamers, with someone even saying it eclipsed its licensed predecessor. Still, some team members did leave Rare during Perfect Dark's development to form Free Radical Design, and they released their own spiritual successor, Time Splitters. Before we reveal our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
Stay with me! In the walls, in the lies, in the dragon's fire, in the things that will
Number 1. Bioshock, successor to System Shock 2. Oh, the wonders and terrors of isolation. In 1999, Irrational Games released a first-person RPG way ahead of its time, set in a cyberpunk universe with the player battling a malevolent AI.
Remember that it is my will that guided you here.
It took Irrational 8 years to properly follow it up, but it was well worth the wait. The 2007 FPS masterpiece perfected System Shock's concepts, and though they did reduce some role-playing elements, they created an unforgettable setting and atmosphere with the underwater city of Rapture. So, take your pick, Atlas or Shodan? Shit, was that a spoiler?
I know you must feel like the unluckiest man in the world right now.
Thanks for watching Mojo Plays. Be sure to subscribe and click on the link in the description below to check out our suggestion page and vote on what content you'd like to see us cover next.